Youth across the country are increasingly voicing frustration over a deepening unemployment crisis, with recent data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics painting a stark picture of a generation struggling to find its footing. As of the year 2022, 67% of young people were unemployed. Human resource professionals have pointed to a widening disconnect between skills and employment opportunities. Yet legal experts insist that frameworks exist to protect young job seekers, including provisions under the Employment Act guaranteeing access to work. NTV's Victor Ngaruya spoke to young people, recruiters, legal practitioners, as well as policy experts to understand the depth of the crisis and what may lie behind it.
Across Nairobi and beyond, the voices of young people tell a story of frustration and fading hope due to unemployment.
We specifically as youth, we really face a lot of challenges. So the main reason for maybe youth unemployment is because the areas that we are supposed to get our jobs are really flooded.
For many graduates, certificates that once symbolized hope now lie idle, some for as long as 2 decades. And some say the negative consequences of prolonged unemployment are slowly spilling over into the society.
Unemployment has made many youths to be idle. Most of them are turning into stealings, they are doing drugs, and many of them, especially in my school most of them have turned themselves into goons.
According to a recent Poverty and Distributional Impacts of Fiscal Policy in Kenya report by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, youth unemployment is more than twice the national average, highlighting a structural issue in the country's labor markets. Several factors contribute to this unemployment crisis, including rapid population and labor force growth, mismatches between skills and job market demands, sluggish or declining economic growth, and systematic issues such as inefficiencies and corruption that hinder investment and job creation. Determined to lay bare the disconnect between education and employability, NTV spoke to recruiters and human resource professionals who highlighted critical gaps, including inefficiencies in how skills acquired in universities align with market demands. Jairus Walemba, CEO and founder of JCVs, says many young people are simply not positioning themselves effectively for employment.
Most of our graduates have basically what they have learned from the school. Now, employers are looking for something extra.
And in a system where opportunities are scarce, connections and networking have become increasingly critical.
The gap in Kenya is that the right skill does not meet the right channel, like to get the right person. So in the previous work environment, we could get people, they go to school, after going to school, get employment. But now you need to go to school, improve your skills, then network your skills.
About 60 to 70% of the jobs are never advertised. These jobs are gotten through connections. And I'm a good example that I've been able to place so many people without people having to advertise positions.
Even more striking is the growing preference for technical training over traditional university degrees.
Anytime I'll go for a TVET graduate. Yeah, because they are more practical and they have more skills than the university graduates.
However, legal experts insist that the government has an obligation to protect the rights of young people against unemployment. They also warn that many young job seekers are still being exploited due to weak enforcement of labor protections.
So anytime the youths are looking for gainful employment, they will either be asked to pay money towards that employment, or in other cases, issues of sexual exploitation also comes into play. But then the structure and the system, I would say, is the one that fails the youth. It is not structured in a way that it's protecting these job seekers from that exploitation.
Policy experts say growing frustration among young people is pushing some into extreme and risky survival strategies, including seeking unverified opportunities abroad.
We have also seen a number of them falling into traps where they offer servitude that is tantamount to slavery, especially in the Middle East, where you have some of them just taking up menial jobs without a very good contract, taking up jobs that are not dignified.
Policy expert Alex Matere adds that the crisis is fast becoming a national emergency.
If a young person does not have an income and yet he has a young family, they even now resort to issues of crime. If a young person also does not have an income, he does not have a way of life, then you'd find also majority of them dropping down into aspects of juvenile delinquency that sometimes metamorphosize into radicalism and related cases.
Youth unemployment is increasingly being described not just as an economic crisis, but as a growing threat to the country's social and economic stability. There are now mounting calls for urgent and decisive action, with critics urging the government to step up its response before the situation deteriorates further. Victor Ngaroya, NTV, Nairobi.